the early
Mark
voting
Levin
starts
show.
in
This guy
Pennsylvania on the
standing in for
16th,
him.
and the impact it can make when you do get out and vote early. So, in one of the most insightful
So
pieces
get
of
in and
analysis
vote
I have
early.
seen, you go back to around the 2020 election, and Dick Morris produced information showing that the engagement by voters early is worth up to 5% of the vote. And how? Because you do have a small percentage of voters where they get to election day, they're like, I'm going to vote in person election day, and then life happens. I mean, it can be crazy things. You get stuck at work, you get in a car accident, no telling, stuff happens. And there's a small percentage never gets there. But there's something else that is off the radar of pretty much everybody that isn't a party operative. And that is the resources that can be expended elsewhere. You have the parties that are always working to get out the vote, right? And if you have been around an election,
you can volunteer
and
on
you
election
are getting
day.
hit up with texts or maybe calls and all the mailers and everything else,
Last
hey, get out
minute
the vote.
volunteer.
Here are the early voting locations.
Drive
you can request
people
about
to
all this stuff.
Vote,
That's
etc.
time.
Knock on
That's
doors.
money that is being spent to try to turn you out. And that is time, and that is money, and that is effort that could be spent turning out somebody who isn't you, somebody who might be a less reliable voter than you. So actually what happens is, if you get out and vote, and you actually vote as early as you can, you'll probably notice that, hey, you're not getting hit up by all these different entities trying to get you out to vote because they figured out that you have voted. And then because of those resources being deployed elsewhere, along with the people who make sure they vote rather than getting to election day and can't, Dick Morris identified that it's worth up to 5% of the vote, up to 5%. So you amplify the impact of your vote by getting out there and playing the election game the way that it's played, by getting out there and voting basically about as early as you can. How many super important elections have been decided by 5% or less? If Trump were to get anywhere close to 5% more of the vote 4 years ago, he would have won going away. Wouldn't have been particularly close. So one of the many things that you can do, one of the many things that we can all do, is not just to get out there and vote, but to get out there and vote, however our state allows it, as early as possible. Unless, of course, you're in New Hampshire, in which case,
越早投票越着數，特別係嗰啲熱心 ，especially for those who are passionate, who are really proactive, because we can be doing something else on or before election day, right? Last minute they remind people, hey, be sure to vote. Because then on election day you wouldn't be worried, you won't be stressful, and you would not take any chance that somehow you didn't feel like voting. This is only one vote. It doesn't count.